No one put a death sentence on me overtly, because it would, in the circles we were in, that would just sound too extreme. But they did it spiritually, in the sense that they told me basically that we would be destroyed both, physically and our souls spiritually. Multiple times. They had multiple spiritual experiences that confirmed it. So that happened many times, but nobody just said, we're going to kill you, like, a more extreme version of that. It was more subtle. It was more emotional manipulation, where if you do this, you will be killed. You will be destroyed. And a lot of what they use is they use Bible verses that are correct in the right context, but they take the authoritarian control and they talk about spiritual umbrellas and spiritual protections. And if you don't do what we say, you're outside of that protection. And then they'll use a verse, that will try to show how if you're not being obedient, right, then you're rebellious and Satan can do whatever and you're going to be destroyed. And so that happened to me a lot. And then for a while, like, not even my own family members would talk to me. I have a number of brothers and sisters, and only one was brave enough to maintain contact while I was being rebellious, while the devil was leading me astray. In fact, they were so afraid, my own flesh and blood, to talk to me. They thought that if they did discuss things with me, that they would get demonized, that they would be destroyed as well. So I went a number of years where nobody would even talk to me. They talked about me behind my back a lot. About 3 years into this process, while I was pulling away, I did talk to one of my brothers one time. And it was the Lord opened the door. We talked for an hour, and he was shocked at the discrepancy between what I was saying, what I was learning, how I was growing, where my heart was at, and what the church had placed upon me as in terms of who I am. And he couldn't believe it. And he had a big decision to make. Am I going to believe the rest of my family and the pastors and the elders and all these people, or am I going to believe my brother? And he knew me well enough, at least, that he, for a while, started talking to me and started changing himself and recognizing things. So that's the thing. These systems, they crumble in truth. And so you have to really, the leadership has to work so hard to keep everything dotted and the T's crossed, and they have to really box it in. So they've got to quelch questions and free thinking. They can't allow it, because the whole system will fall down, because it's built on a really bad foundation, and people aren't made for that. That type of spiritual control is the emotional spiritual counterpart of just a physically dictatorship, controlling system where people literally are thrown into prisons and tortured, and they're going to comply, and the state will use force, right, in those situations in those countries. It's the same thing that happens frequently, but it's just on an emotional level, a spiritual level. So it's harder to put your finger on and see for people.